Welcome to Life in Design, a bilingual podcast hosted and produced by me, Tham Penhafiel. As an interior designer, I encourage the well-being of the body, mind, soul, and spirit. My goal is to create a safe space for breaking through self-imposed limitations and adopting an autonomous mindset. Each episode features inspiring individuals who have achieved their goals, encouraging you to step out of your comfort zone and design the life you always have dreamed of. Join me as we explore episodes in both English and Portuguese. I want to take this time to thank you all sponsors and thank you to Ahi Board for sponsoring this podcast. Ahi Sled believes no matter if you are a surfboarder or a bodyboarder, anyone can shred the wave. Intended for all levels of riders, Ahi Sled is the ultimate barrel machine. It's made in the USA with 100% recyclable materials, easy to catch waves, and impact resistant. It's always overhead on an Ahi. Visit ahiboard.com for more details. In today's episode, our special guest is a dear friend and a powerhouse of women who has made Santa Barbara her home. Elisa Stad spent most of her career as an international business executive in the luxury goods. After working in over 40 countries, she developed a passion for globalization and her exchange of cultures based on her own experiences. Elisa also is devoted to social impact in healthcare as a founder of the Stad Center of Pain, Palliative and Integrative Medicine, where she addresses healthcare inequities. She mentors future leaders to her board roles at USC, UCSF, and Harvard. Elisa, who grew up in a multicultural household, is an advocate for diversity and youth development. She has written a children's book titled Mama's Love Language. In her spare time, Elisa enjoys pursuing her spiritual practice, dance ballet with her children, and practicing yoga, and also visiting Asian street market to stay grounded. Elisa, thank you so much for staying here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course.
That was awesome.
Thank you for your time. And I'd like to start our conversation today with you telling us a little bit about your background and about yourself. And you're such a powerful woman.
Okay, I don't know where to start, but I can start from the beginning. So I grew up really living in two different worlds, two different cultures. I'm a daughter of a Chinese Vietnamese mother and an American father. So me being mixed race and being bicultural was really part of what has developed me in my life. And as you can see in my career and as a parent and now writing this children's book, it's really helped weave my abilities and actually has become really like a superpower.
It is a superpower.
Yes. But it was very confusing when you're younger and you maybe have a parent that is a foreigner from another country who probably maybe has an accent and a different way of being versus all the American parents.
Yeah, and how did you maneuver that growing up? Was it difficult for you?
Yeah, I moved around a lot as a kid. I was born in LA and then we moved to Hong Kong and then to the Bay Area and then to Idaho and then back to LA. But what was really difficult was when I was living in places, when I was living in Idaho, I looked very Chinese and very, it stood out that the culture and being loud and the Chinese culture. But then when I was in Asia, people thought I looked very American, or even with my Chinese Vietnamese family at their home, they thought I felt very American. So it was interesting because at school I felt very Chinese because I didn't look like everybody else. There was probably on my hand just a couple of kids that were minorities at our school, but when I go home to LA and with my immigrant family, they felt I looked so American. I looked like my father. So really there was not a home for me, I felt as a kid, because you just want to feel seen and safe, and you want to just be like everybody else. So it was hard as a kid, but but it's also helped me. So we can talk about that if you want. Yes.
Right. And how that shape your view of the world, because you grew up with like multiple cultures and they're completely different.
Yes.
And you have families in different, continents. And how that shaped you through your experiences to view the world.
Yes. Good question. I realized that even though I never felt I belonged anywhere, I wanted to belong, I had to adjust and adapt into new environments. So it's, when I was in with the Asian culture, it's loud. We have no shoes on. They're shouting. It's very vibrant. And then on my American side, it's much more formal. You eat with a fork and a knife, and there's manners, and it's a little more structured. But I realize that ability to be a chameleon wherever I am and just kind of absorb whatever the environment may be allowed me to be able to work in so many different countries in my job and be able to connect with humans and have a heart-to-heart connection with each person I encounter, because I could relate to my Chinese side, or even being an immigrant, having a parent who's an immigrant, to my American side, to living in a big city like Hong Kong or Los Angeles, or to living in a smaller middle of America town like Boise, Idaho. So
wow, yeah.
Just where you grow up and your environment really teach their tools that kind of guide you as you go into adulthood.
Right. And that actually is powerful because it makes you a really good professional because you were able to connect it in a different level. And honestly, it's a skill that only life teaches you.
For sure. Yeah, I had the opportunity to live in Hong Kong. I lived in Hong Kong as a child, and then I had the opportunity to go back to Hong Kong in my career, and I was the general manager for a cosmetic brand called Benefit Cosmetics, which is owned by LVMH. And it was really beautiful because I could speak Cantonese with all the middle management and the team, the local team, but also really engage with the executive team too, who were usually European or American. And I could really, in the lunchroom, I could speak Cantonese. I know what's going on there, but I also know what's going on in the boardroom. So I could go between both worlds very seamlessly. And I think it was at that time I realized, wow, even though it was so difficult to suffer as a kid, not really knowing your identity, it actually is it's given me a leg up to be able to connect with a gamut of people in my career and in life.
Yeah, no, that inner connection, it's really, really powerful. And I'm sure that made, through your experiences, made you have a completely different outcome because you also have different experiences. And what shaped you when it comes to globalization, being exposed to so many countries and to so many different people and experiences and backgrounds, and you were able to connect heart to heart with these people without having any problem, any issue, so seamless. How that shaped you to your view for the words when it comes to globalization?
Yeah, the world globalization, right? We are from this globe or the earth or this world, right? We all share it. So whether you are an American citizen or Brazilian citizen, we are global citizens.
Right.
And I really live those values that I believe we all are global. If we all live like global citizens, there'll be more world peace. The word globalization, I think, has become more about consumerism. So there's more about globalization of companies, right? So if you look at brands out there, you can find big retail brands in almost every country. So a lot of the times, I'll pick up any brand like H&M. You can find it, in Europe, in Asia, in America, and they pretty much look the same, and it's pretty consistent. So you lose on one end globalization. You can lose the uniqueness that you have of going to a different region and feeling the flavor of the culture. Globalization allows the same consistent experience to go into different countries. I think your question to me is, how has it shaped you as a person? And it's so, because I have lived in, it's not just about the countries that like, and the languages and everything I've been involved in. It's also the different diversity of like social economic even. So even my family, because I come from Vietnamese, Chinese refugees, they came from a lot of poverty, and even immigrating to this country right after the Vietnam War, they had jobs in like sweatshops because they didn't have the skills to speak English or had ability to go to university. So I really feel I can connect with different types of people. So that was like my personal upbringing. But then going to university, and you're exposed to people that have, graduate degrees and a lot of wealth and a lot of exposure. There's also a way to communicate with them. But you realize when you look at globalization, we're all human and we all come from the same place. We each have a mom and a dad that has given birth to us, but also, we all have to breathe and drink water and survive and get jobs and educate. So there is a big weave of similarity in all of us, even though we like to differentiate. So for me as a child and even as an adolescent, and as I moved up in my career, and now I'm a parent of 3 young kids, is understanding globalization. It's beautiful that we can understand that there's so many similarities in different countries, but there's still, you have to get the spice of each region and celebrate that. And I think we can't forget to celebrate where we all come from.
I agree. And also, like, I feel we go through so much segregation. However, as a human, we all have the same struggles. We all have the same ideas of the world, of like, especially like growing up when we don't have consciousness, we all face the same feelings, and some of them are a little bit more explored, some are not, and some people has the ability to touch their feelings easier than others. But I feel like as a human, we all face the same struggles or the same feelings, So what do you think, do you think that would be the most important factors for business to when they spend into new markets, not losing that essential of each country to make less globalization, but it's still like globalizing, but it's still keep it's essential.
Focus on business.
Focus on business.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think the key. So when I was a kid, we lived abroad. We lived in Hong Kong, and they hired Americans to be expats in Hong Kong, and they wanted the American expertise in Asia and Europe and all these other markets to be consistent. I think what's happening now is for a company or brand to be successful, you do need like the root of like the corporate headquarters or the DNA of the brand, let's say, the team to go in there to set up the structure for whatever business it may be, whether it's a brand or it could be any company can go into a new market. You need that consistency because you need to know where how the brand's supposed to look, how it's supposed to feel. The pricing, the positioning, all of that. However, I think the key is to hire a strong local team who can merge the two, understand where the corporate office may want or the DNA of the brand and be trained, but also have the expertise of the local market and understand the tastes and the needs of the consumer. And I think what's happening now, there's more of a win-win because it's not just there's a charm and there's understanding of and respecting the local market as well as the global market.
Got it.
So
That is pretty interesting. Yes, no, it's really interesting, and I think you're right because that is some key factors of keeping the culture alive, even when we're expanding and into new markets. And I would like to touch into the healthcare that you've been working on it. I know that you worked for luxury goods for a while, but now you're very passionate and focused in social impact in the healthcare system. And you also have the Stad Center
Yes.
of Pain. Am I saying right?
It's the Stad Center of Pain, Palliative and Integrative Medicine. And it's at Benioff Children's Hospital at UCSF. So it's pediatric pain, palliative, and integrative medicine.
Wow, that's amazing. And then how did you come up with that?
So it is okay. It's a long story, but so what we've created is it's basically the best in class of, and it's a best in class and the only most comprehensive pediatric pain clinic in America. And it's housed under UCSF. And what we're doing is really looking at a 360-degree approach of managing suffering and pain for children. So whether it's chronic pain, serious pain, life-limiting pain, we have a team. So everything, if you think about like mind, body, soul, there's psychologists, nutritionists, physical therapists, we have MDs, we have nurses, we have acupuncture, we have hypnosis, we have massage therapists, but we're looking at the child because every child is so unique and we don't see children as just like a factory in and out. If we want kids to stay out of hospitals longer, we need to really understand the root cause of their suffering. And so what the team does, is we have a full-time team who's dedicated just on the pain management for children, but also we look at what is going on with each child and we listen to them. And I think that's key because we don't just have a formula that plugs in a child and then, you get your medication, you come back. We want kids to be healthier, feel less fear, and also for their parents to feel empowered with tools. So we're not against, we use Western medicine and Eastern medicine, and we call it integrative medicine, and pulled both worlds together to find solutions for kids.
So, and that will be any type of sickness that a child might encounter.
So pain can affect any type of sickness. So anything from, it could be life-threatening, very serious, like cancer. It could be something like migraines, IBS. It could be a broken bone. There's pain. I mean, if you think about why kids go to the hospital, why humans go to the hospital, there's usually some pain incorporated in it. And we are trying to find a solution. So usually, when kids have pain chronically, they come into the hospital often. And we have this outpatient center where the kids can be seen and come in often, but also we have our MDs and our therapists actually go into children that are admitted into UCSF, and we visit them with an integrative approach.
Also, a lot of trauma can cause a lot of pain.
Yes. So what do you think the number one fear of children are, do you know what it is?
I think it's being laughed by the parents.
They're needles.
Needles.
Yeah,
okay.
Kids are scared of needles. So we've changed. So you're right, trauma. So even in the hospital now at the Stad Center, we don't hold down kids to administer medication to them. We use other methods so they feel calm and relaxed. So when I say hypnosis, it's not just getting a clock and saying walk like a chicken. It's really about, calming, taking a deep breath, getting into your body, feeling safe. So the doctor can actually, administer what, it could be, inject a needle, or it could be managing medication, or even having a dialogue. I think it's really important for children to feel safe. And I think in hospitals, there's a lot of fear. There could be a lot of fear if you're not, if the experience creates trauma, right? Imagine if a kid is getting stitches and you're holding them down in their dear life, and their heads cut open, and you're giving them stitches, or you're teaching them about deep breathing, and you're actually massaging them or giving aromatherapy, and then without any sort of intervention, they are getting the stitches into
Right. So, and you have a new book that is out right now. Mama's Love Language is beautiful. I actually haven't read. And I'd like to talk about the book and also how growing up in mixed cultures and family stuff, different dynamics as well, how that shaped your upbringing and how you view life as Elisa, the little girl growing up and healing herself from all the difference that he had to come up with that book.
Okay, that's a lot in there. Yes, I would say that writing this book is a healing process. This book is called Mama's Love Language. I've had this idea for, I think, 15 years, and I finally, wrote it. And it's been so beautiful because it's allowed me to reflect to my past. And all of us have this inner child where we wanted to feel belong and seen
And safe.
Yes, and safe. And when I look back, now I'm a mother of 3 kids. I think about them and I wonder, what tools could I have given them, or what tools can I give them? So, and I wish what could I have had so I could have felt safe and seen. And one of them being a mixed race child, and also having a parent who was literally a refugee from the Vietnam War, which is trauma in itself, which can transfer. And there's a lot of out there about generational trauma, but I wanted to write this book for my younger self in a way. And also my kids and all youth, so they'd have a tool and understand this story. And this is Jade's story about having a parent who is a refugee and a foreigner, who with an accent, who looks a little bit different than everyone else, and who is a little more strict and a little more rigid, and may not show affection like all the other parents, but that's okay. But Jade in this book has to understand why, and we got to look at the history of her mother, who came from war and poverty and in transition, and to really evolve who she was as a parent, and how that trickled down to this young little girl.
So who was your inspiration for the book?
I mean, you think you said it. I didn't even think about this question. It really is like a younger me was probably my inspiration for this book. That, and then probably my kids, just looking at them every day and thinking, wow, these kids, they have a mom and a dad who are American, who speak English, perfectly, and don't necessarily stand out as much, but it made me reflect on the younger version of Elisa and what she wished she had. Or, now I look back, I think all the sufferings were meant to be, even it was very difficult as a kid to create who I am today. But I want to share that with young kids, that, identity, when you're young, you just want to fit in, but it's okay not to fit in. And that families are also very universal, even though we're made up differently. We may all look differently. They may be, there may be a mom and a dad. There may be a single mom. There may be 2 dads, 2 moms. You might have someone that's American, or not. It's just, but love is universal, and parents love their kids no matter how it may be shown differently.
Yeah, agreed. And how do you encourage young kids to embrace their own identity?
I do a lot of book readings at schools, and it's been really fun, actually. I never thought I would be doing that, but it's just seeing how everyone lights up and what they see in the book. Every kid comes from somewhere. If you're an American, we all come from somewhere,
right?
Unless you're like indigenous, probably, but we all come from somewhere, no matter what you look like. And we each have, most of us have 2 backgrounds that have been blended, and what could be 2 different personalities. You may be from Ohio, but one family may be really strict and one may be more laid back. And I really want to teach kids that we all come from somewhere and we all have something to share. And we all have stories to share. And when kids start sharing their stories, whether it's rituals, I ask the question, what's your mama's love language or your dad's love language? And every kid has a different way of sharing their love. How do they receive love?
Yeah.
It could be anything from, yes, hugs and kisses, which is traditional, or gifts. It could be, a joke. It could be watching a movie. It could just be time together. Mm-hmm. So we all have different ways of giving love and receiving love.
Yeah, and I think the importance of this book is not just that, but also the fact that there is some time of our lives that we feel shame about our mothers for different reasons. And having a mother that is, I think about myself, if I had a kid, me have an accent might be a trigger for my child to be embarrassed of me at some point, especially when they're teenagers. They think they figure out and they know everything. And I actually gave this book to a friend of mine that she is Brazilian. She has an accent and her kid's American and with a Korean dad. So fits perfectly with the dynamic of the book. And I'm sure that she had those moments of struggle too, that, her child would be like, oh, mom, doesn't come to school today, please do not, because we all had those moments. I remember being burst on my mom at some point, and now I'm like, how could I, because we wake up for life. We wake up for things that actually is important, and then realize that we don't know everything, especially when we are that young. And my question for you, it's like, what kind of advice could you give to those young kids out there that they are struggling with their own identity or even with their own family identity?
Well, this is why I wrote a book, because I think a book, you don't need to have a immediate conversation with someone, and books can open up another world. And again, this is just a story of Mama's love language and a story of Jade, but it allows a kid to explore another world and then maybe allow them to reflect on themselves and think, and first have a dialogue with yourself. Oh, wow, Jade is embarrassed by her mom's accent. Her face is red. My face gets red sometimes. Sometimes I'm embarrassed or I get angry. And so those emotions that maybe are in the story and the protagonist may reflect in their own lives. And I think you said at the beginning that we all have, humans, we have like similarities, like the feelings of emotion, the different sufferings of life. It's very universal, right? Even though we're all maybe organized differently. So my advice for kids, to really understand themselves is, first of all, I think books are a great way to just observe, and then reflect on oneself. And then I think also start to have a dialogue with, it could be a family member, it could be a friend, it could be a teacher, but a little bit about who and where we come from. Because through stories of yourself, because a lot of the times we don't know who our great grandmother was and what happened there. And that really evolves, grandma to mama and mama to kid. So I think I want to encourage kids to just really think about what their lives, what the lives of their family was before they even existed.
Right.
And then that helps them understand the identity. Because at the moment they may feel like, I'm just annoyed, I'm frustrated by these parents of mine, we've all been there, but you don't have the empathy because you don't know what it was like for your parents to be kids. Maybe it was difficult too.
Right. And even for them to be a parent.
Yes.
Because if you think about it, doing that for the first time in your life.
Yes.
And then your parents were doing it for the first time too,
Yes.
So we all learn somehow at the same time. So it's about the perspective of what I feel like when we change the perspective of how we see things and trying to see from a different angle, we kind of make peace with.
Yes. And if you understand your parent in a deeper way, so it's easy to say, hey, why why does my mom have an accent? It's so annoying. I don't understand. It's embarrassing. But if you understand how hard it was for your mother to learn English, for example, then you have more empathy and appreciate that she is
able to
trying
communicate.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, and no, this is very interesting because especially right now what we're facing in politics, I don't want to go to that route, but it's just like we all come from different places. We all come from different backgrounds and from different countries. That's what America is. It's a United States. There's a lot of countries in one country. And I feel like the fact that we've been so segregated so many times, and especially like right now with immigration aspects that has been happening, if we think about how unique we are and we all belong to the same space, kind of. So that makes me think about what you said earlier about generation karma and traumas that we come, because when we start understanding our parents, we start thinking that they also had a lot of traumas that they haven't healed, and that was passed along to us, through our DNAs, and also like spiritually, we believe on it that that's why we chant to change our karma, because it comes with us, and I feel like if we don't break this cycle, it's going to happen to us anyway, because we're predestinated to it. And speaking about spiritual practice, I'd love to talk to you about Buddhism, because I know you were passionate about it and you were part of the SGI community. Would you like to talk about that?
Sure, I would love to.
So why did you become a Buddhist?
Why did I become a Buddhist? I think Buddhism really is a way of life. It's a philosophy. Buddhism to me just makes common sense. So Buddhism started, this history of Buddhism is all the way back to India. There was this prince, Siddhartha Gautama, who left his palace and he saw the four sufferings of life. And you know what those sufferings are. They're, birth, old age, sickness, and death. And he realized those are the universal sufferings of life
that we all go through.
Yes, and no matter who you are, no matter what country you're in, no matter how much money you have, what age you have, we all are going to go through those four sufferings: birth, old age, sickness, and death. And then Buddhism traveled, and there's many sutras of Buddhism and different chapters as humans became more evolved. You hear about the Buddha meditating under the Bodhi tree and fasting, and so it evolved. But the last sutra, the second to last sutra, which is the Lotus Sutra, which my Buddhism is based on, which is Nichiren Buddhism, based on this Nichiren Daishonin from Japan. Basically, the Lotus Sutra. If you look at a lotus flower, when it blooms, it plants a seed at the same time. Mm-hmm. So there's a simultaneity of cause and effect. So what your question is, why do you practice Buddhism? I see in life every day there's a cause and effect, and there's a cause and effect, and we have control. Each human being has control of their causes in life. And the effects are based on the causes we make. So for me, I really feel Buddhism is about respecting each person and the dignity of life. And Buddhism doesn't tell you what to do, what not to do, but the law of the universe will show its way. So yeah, I think what's going on right now is challenging in America because it's really polarized. And there's a lot of disrespect for each other, no matter what your political belief may be. And I think this is an opportunity for us to really start to have dialogue and communicate with each other, and not to change their ways, but just to understand how your neighbor feels. And I think this is it was meant to be that I wrote this book a year ago, that it's just another way to have a conversation. And yeah, a dialogue is not to force someone into your beliefs, but to understand and respect your neighbor. And if you start to have empathy for your neighbors, we start seeing each other as, whether it's we all really see ourselves as American citizens, and then hopefully global citizens, and then we'll respect other countries as well, because we all are part of the same planet, and no one is better or less than each other. And we're part of something called humanity. And I think it's really beautiful. So every day I do, part of the practice is chanting. So I chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Maybe you've heard that mantra before.
Yes, I have every day. So, I'm also a Buddhist.
Yes. And I'm so glad that we get to practice this amazing Buddhism. And a lot of us didn't grow up with this opportunity, but if hopefully everyone that's listening, that this is an opportunity to learn more about chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. And the practice of chanting is not a quiet meditation where it's really self-centered. The chanting is connected with self and others. So when I'm chanting, and when we chant, that vibration is not just affecting your life, but it's affecting everyone's life around you. And you're throwing that pebble in the lake, and you'll ripple it out.
Right. A friend of mine was telling me like, oh, I like going to the meetings, but I think I'm more like a quiet, like I love Buddhism, but I'm more like a silent one. And I was thinking like, you have no idea the power of sound.
Yes.
Just like chanting, and sometimes chanting out loud. There is something about the healing that comes from when you do from like breathing and getting the rhythm. You you get into the rhythm of the universe when you do it. And what I think is fascinating about this book is because it's not just for children, but it's like changing in the roots of youth, changing from the beginning, because I feel like my life purpose is to encourage people to be themselves, to take chances on themselves. And there is nothing better than start with young children out there that they have no idea what the word is about. And I feel like it's our job to teach it them and be able to talk, spreading that message and spread the message of Buddhism, what Buddhism is about, what nurturing Buddhism and SGI community is about, which is a place for everyone. It's beautiful. And I'm so, so proud to be part of that community with you.
Yes, no, amazing. No, yes, Soka Gakkai SGI is a lay Buddhist organization, and there is no hierarchy. And we are, as you see, like we don't shave our head, or we don't have to be vegetarian. We are human beings living in society, but we also practice Buddhism on a daily basis. And yeah, I agree with you on youth. I think when you're young, you haven't experienced life yet. And, the world is so big in front of you, and it can be overwhelming. So Buddhism teaches you life. Life is actually win or lose, and you lose if you don't try. So for kids and young people, we want to encourage them to know their potential, and Buddhism is tapping into everyone's inner potential. You could be 8 years old or 80 years old. We can all have the opportunity to change in every moment. And to me, I felt like when I've had obstacles in my life, Buddhism has allowed me to break through, knowing my potential.
Right.
So yes, I really also agree with you.
And also what I love the most about Buddhism is the fact that it's so free, and at the same time you can be yourself and you are loved for who you are. And the fact that you chant, like we chant every morning and evening, it's almost like you wake up with the Buddha and then we sleep with the Buddha. You're like in the morning, if I don't chant before I get out of the house, I feel like something is missing. I did not brush my teeth. It feels like that. And what I love the most, and I'm really proud to be part of the community, and I'm really proud of being a Buddhist, is the fact that I have this inner power in me that I can accomplish anything I want. I can achieve anything I want, and I can manifest anything I want because I had opened that portal. I have opened that channel, chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, to open all the doors and make the universe to work for things that I want and how I want. And it's not just about like things or like materialized, but also like even the sufferings, sometimes it's a blessing. And most of the time we suffer and then we ask ourselves like, why am I suffering? Like, why this is happening to me? And I actually never asked why, because I always think that things happen the way it should happen. And what do I need to learn from that experience? So I think this is what Buddhism is about. It's like things happen the way it should happen to all of us, but we need to learn something on that because it's on our karma. Is either like break the cycle, something has to change, or you've been given another opportunity. So you just need to change the perspective of how you see it, and continue chanting with your heart open to manifest your dreams.
Yeah, and I think our late mentor Daisaku Ikeda, he was a third president of the Soka Gakkai. It was because of him and his encouragement of all these. So Buddhism came to America after World War II with all these Japanese war brides, and who had moved and married Americans in the U.S. So it's so interesting because they thought they came here, and going back to the book and immigrants and all that, they came for a better life, but a lot of them married, Americans who maybe they were like alcoholics or abusive, and they really didn't have a great life here, and they felt disempowered. And also in Japan, it was after the war, and it was really giving hope to people of transforming no matter who you are to get out of that. Like the lotus flower blooms in a muddy pond. And so a beautiful flower can bloom in just in a dark, muddy place. But also when you plant a seed, when it blooms, it plants a seed at the same time. So I agree. Every day it's like a renewal of hope.
It's a transformation.
Exactly. There's an amazing podcast also called Buddhability.
Buddhability, yes, part of the SGI, huh?
Yes. So that's a great one for anyone that's listening to want to learn more about it. But there's so much we could talk about. But it's like, it's been life-changing for me. Always, it's a reset, like you said, every day to charge myself. And I just love the power of sound and that vibration and the words. It's not like we're saying any kind of word. It's Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. It's basically about the Lotus Sutra, the mystic law of cause and effect through sound.
Yeah, which is very true. And like when I think about it, when I look back, my accomplishments and everything that has happened to me, I truly devote that to my practice to Buddhism, because after I became a Buddhist, my life has changed to the direction that I always dreamed of. And living the world that we're living now, if I wasn't Buddhist, I probably would be lost or depressed, because I don't think I would see hope in a world like that. But because I am, it gives me so much joy and hope to keep fighting and to keep hoping for a better future, keeping hope for kids to understand each other, for love, and for touching the heart of these people leading many countries out there that, feels like it's a wave happening all over. So when I chant, I think about every single person. And usually when I see someone, I chant 3 times for this person, send them Dayamoko, because we all are struggling somehow to some degree. And if we understand our sufferings and how can we channel that to learn something, this is what Buddhism is about.
Yes. No, I agree. It's just transforming poison into medicine, we say.
Yes. Transform poison. And if someone is listening to, not if, I'm sure that you guys are listening to us. So someone that are listening and watching us on YouTube. So how can we encourage them to chant?
So how do we encourage this count? I think first is just to try, because it's like, we talk about like when you lift weights, you can read a book about lifting weights all day long, but your muscles are never going to grow. So I think the key is just try chanting. So it's Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. So it's like, we'll try it 3 times. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo.
Yeah.
So I think to encourage, just try it. There's nothing stopping. Just do it, like Nike says, right?
Yeah.
Just go for it. And I think the best way is for me, I encourage my friends is like in the morning is the best way to start the day if you can. So I think 10, 15 minutes in the morning would be great. Start with 5. It could be what you can do. And there's no rule or around it. What you put in is what you get out.
Right.
And the key, I think, is consistency. So if you try chanting for like 60 days, try for 2 months, and write down like when you started. You have your story about when you started chanting.
Yeah, I can share.
But what are your goals? Write down like a couple goals, and then see what happens in 60 days of what happened, and then you can continue or you can stop.
Yes,
but give it a good go.
Yeah, one thing I would say, and also for those that were watching us, you guys going to see the SGI app. I highly recommend it to download if you would like to try. And that's like how I started. But I became Buddhist simply because, first of all, I was going to the meetings and I was trying to understand the dynamic and trying to chant and learning about it. But I was driving on the freeway and I had this nasty thought of what would happen if my tires blow up while I'm driving. That was just like crazy. And instead of me thinking like, oh, Jesus protect me, or like instead thinking about anything else, my only thought was to repeat it 3 times, Namyo Renge Kyo, Namyo Renge Kyo, Namyo Renge Kyo, because I believe when I say that, I feel so protected. And that is so powerful that makes me feel like I have a blanket around me and I'm fully shielded when I chant. And I just did it. And I was probably like going to the meetings like 2 months. For 2 months, I don't remember exactly the timeline, but I was like, okay, so I actually gonna stop at this old mechanic guy that I used to take my old car there, so he can see this was a new car, by the way. And I went there and then he was like, oh, Amiga, give me 20 minutes. I'll be right back, blah, blah, blah. And then he comes back and I was like, I don't know. I just want you to check my tires. I just had this feeling that something might be off. He was like, oh, okay, let me see. And then he was like, Amiga, if you don't have money today, that's totally fine. You don't have to pay me, but you're not driving this car until I change the tires. And I'm like, why? He was like, your tire's about to blow up. And I'm like, oh. And right away, I just felt this intense gratitude for Namyo Renge Kyo, for the feeling of, first of all, the awareness. Again, once you chant, you open that portal. So you are open to another dimension. And once I did, I was able to touch my inner guts, my intuition. And I truly believe that every time I chant, I'm fully connected with my mind, body, spirit, and soul. So I was able to touch that part of myself that alerted me something was wrong with my car. And because I felt the protection that I always felt when I chanted Namyo Renge Kyo, I was able to take action on it, because it's the action. And oh my God, you said the mystic law.
Yes.
And it's just like it happens if you're in touch with that. So I was able to just realize, okay, I'm in the right path. I should be continue doing that. And I'm officially a Buddhist.
And that's amazing. And you only started learning about it for a couple months and you felt it. But tell us the difference. I know you grew up in Brazil, and you said instead of saying, in a different practice, you said Namyo Renge Kyo. What's the difference? Why did you feel a difference? Is it like the control inside versus outside, or how?
That is something that for me, I had a little bit. I felt more connected because I was connected to myself instead connected to an image. And I grew up going to church in Brazil, Catholic church. My favorite uncle, he's a priest, and I love him so much. But I never felt fully connected to the practice. I never felt connected to the religion. First of all, I never felt connected because it's a religion. And it had this somewhat of control. And I never liked that because it was always like rules, or you cannot do that. You have to be unhappy in a marriage, but you have to continue to be married because they're against divorce, they're against like same sex marriage. It was just like so much that I never felt too much connected. But for me, one of the things that I was most disconnected was seeing the image of Jesus Christ and the cross being assassinated the way that he was. and the people normalizing that, and the fact that I always thought this is so bad. What happened to him is so bad and happened like over 2,000 years ago, and it continued to happen nowadays. I just felt this connection with the practice itself, because I just felt humans are so bad to one another, and the lack of love inside the communities, I just felt fully disconnected. And when I started going to the Buddhism Center, I felt the opposite. People knew my name. People would come and hug me, and they would like come with so much love and joy. And I'm like, why these people are so happy? And I start chanting, and I start feeling this happiness that I was always wondering why they are so happy. Because you clean yourself, you clean your thoughts, you polish your mirror in front of your gohonzo every morning. So you're ready to face the world. And I never felt that through prayers, to any other, I went to different practices, but I never felt so deeply connected and so passionate and proud to be part of it. And one thing I most admire about SGI is the involvement with real causes, like the Nuclear Age Peace Foundation, that I'm very passionate about. And even though sometimes it gets a little scared to know that it could happen, we cannot forget about the past. We cannot forget about Holocaust. We cannot forget about Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We cannot forget that there is nuclear weapons to be developed. I mean, being developed, and we cannot forget none of this. And being part of that community that cares about humanity as a whole, it makes me feel so joyful and so proud to know that Buddhism SGI is all about education, and I'm truly passionate about learning, and I believe that through education we change the world, and that's why Buddhism for me is so important. And Aikido Sensei wasn't educated. Buddhism SGI is based on education, and when I learned that, I knew that I was in the right community.
Yes. Amazing. And thank you for sharing, and also I love that the different types of people that are involved. It's not like so many different races, so many different ages, so many social economic backgrounds, all like working together in harmony for happiness of their own happiness and also for others.
Right. Like when I chant, sometimes we chant for things like, manifest having this podcast back. I have manifest few other things that is just like amazing how quick happens. But my ultimate goal lately is being chanting for the peace of the world, for the happiness. And I'm not chanting for the peace of the world, I'm chanting for the happiness of the world, because people need to be happy with themselves. I'm chanting for healing, for everyone to heal your inner child, heal your inner self. And I still hope that we're going to live in a better place. We're going to live in a peaceful world where everybody is happy with themselves and peaceful, and there is no violence, and would not, it could be an utopia. People be like, you might be crazy about it. But no, I believe it. I believe that we can live in a positive environment where people are lifting each other up instead putting someone else's down for different reasons, because we are all different, and that's the beauty of life. We are all unique. And that's why SGI is about,
Yes.
SGI is about embrace the beauty of differences.
I think that's great. And then the key is also you have to live it in your own life. It's not it's a community where we support each other, but you have to go out in the world and create podcasts and write books and be a teacher and live life, right? Wherever we all have a different mission, I think, and everyone has a unique mission, and the key is to encourage each other to share with others.
Yeah, because we all have the whole idea of the podcast was to bring people like you with different experiences and backgrounds, because I believe that we all have a beautiful, inspiring story to tell. And with telling our stories, we'll be able to inspire other people to take chances on themselves and do amazing things for themselves, because that's not going to knock on the door. We have to go after. You need to keep yourself interesting. You need to find ways to never get bored, because life is hard, but we come here to overcome. We come here to overcome our fears. We come here to learn new tools to just maneuver life, because life happens and will happen. And when we think everything's peaceful and amazing, something will happen. And it's how we see it and how we approach it. And yeah, I'm really grateful that I have this outlet, because sometimes I feel like, wow, I don't know how my life would be if I did not have it. Because I probably would be still trying to find myself somehow. So what are some of your goals, your key goals that you like to achieve in the near future for your career and for your personal life?
Oh, that's a big question. There's so many. I mean, we all have goals, and life keeps changing. One of my goals that I never imagined that I'd write this book. This year, I also launched the Stad Center, our pediatric pain clinic at UCSF. I want to change pediatric pain medicine for other hospitals around the country. So that was a start. This book, I hope I can write more books and share. Too. So that will be coming up. I also want to share through my life, like this amazing practice of Buddhism that I've had, this jewel that I have that everyone can have. And I want to share with others that they can do it too. So I'm trying to figure out what are the ways to, teach others about this philosophy. Mm-hmm. Also I am a parent of 3 young kids. So I want to be, a very present mother and not, and really be there and really see my kids for who they are, but also go out in the world and make social impact. So I think the dream would be able to be an example of a global citizen by building bridges. So I've been involved in universities, and I want to work on how do we inspire young people, especially those that are college age, our future adults, our future, careers that they'll have soon to impact this country and beyond. How do we inspire them? How do we inspire them to respect each other? How can we have nonviolence on campus? Mm-hmm. How can we inspire them to want to make impact and help the community? And it's not just about making money and starting a business, but can they create something of value? And so this value creation philosophy is really important to me. So I hope I can embody it in everything I do, whether it's the books, whether it's being a parent, whether it is working in pediatric health or universities. I want to do it in daily life.
Nice. So. Beautiful. Wow. Amazing. Amazing. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here. And before we close, that is the hard questions that is a little bit more personal. And my question for you is, when you are at your happiest?
When was I at my happiest?
Yeah, when you are at your happiest, like what makes you so happy? Chant in the morning at 6:30 a.m.?
I mean, I've had many happy, I think I've had 3... couple happy moments in my life. One of them was when my first kid was born. I was just like, wow, the body is so powerful. I think I delivered him without any drugs. I don't know how I did that. But anyways, just the fact that I created a life. The second time I was very happy was when I'm with people and I'm gathering. I think it was my 40th birthday, and just, being surprised with all the people that I love. I think that was a very important where my kids were, they did a speech, and, my husband gave a speech, and I just felt really loved.
Right.
And then the final one, I think, is when my kids and our family started chanting and practicing Buddhism, because I couldn't believe that they were able to meet with other young people who are practicing Buddhism and showing respect to each other. And so, anyways, but on a daily basis, yeah, I mean, what am I so happy about? I think appreciation and gratitude every day is what makes me happy. So every morning when I chant and I have my tea and I get up before my kids wake up, because I need that, so I have a moment for myself. Mm-hmm. I just have appreciation and gratitude, which gives me happiness and hope for the day. And in the evening when I chant as well, I have a reflection and, appreciating the moment, but also looking forward to the next day. So I just think having those moments of presence is what makes me happy.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And what advice would you give to your young self?
Okay. So what advice would I give to my younger self? So we'll take Jade here in this book. I'll say she's my younger self. I would say, if I look at my younger self, that, everything is going to be okay, that your worries and your struggles are actually your superpower, and that everything that is confusing about your life will make sense as you get older. So, but yeah, that, and also the final thing is that you're loved, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're loved. Maybe you don't notice it as a young kid, how you're loved, but you're loved, and you're loving and you're lovable. And it's so important to embrace that.
Right. Beautiful. My last question for you is, what you appreciate in life?
Okay. I appreciate just one thing.
I know, you can say as many as you want.
Okay. I appreciate many things, but I think I appreciate the most. I appreciate family. I appreciate people that are close to me, around me, especially like the elder generations. I have a lot of appreciation for that. I appreciate clean air and breathing. I grew up with asthma, so I feel like just even taking a deep breath, I think every moment, just to the simple things of life. You don't pay attention to like the white space, but those things, the background really is what fills you. And I think the final thing is I appreciate, the thing I appreciate the most also is food. I love to eat, and I bet food brings you memories of family, of rituals, of traditions. Yeah, traditions, exactly. And so, I love all kinds of food, and so the way to my heart is to my belly.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. Yeah. I love it. Well, before we finish, I always like to close. I don't know if you've ever done that. I always like to close with a message from the universe. And basically, I love this deck. I like to pull one card every morning. It's basically like a message from the universe to give you just like some peaceful messages that encourage you. So basically, I always like to finish the episode with a little message. So you get the deck, you knock 3 times, and then you shovel and pull a card for you.
Okay. Yeah. Just pick anyone?
Yeah. Just feel it, and whatever comes to you. It's going to be a card for the day.
Okay.
Can you read it?
Okay. I am the dreamer of my dream.
Wow, you are. You are. I
love
it. Well, thank you so much, Elisa. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. And I have this amazing conversation I've been dreamed about. We come here and talk to you because you're such an inspiration for me as a woman, as a mother, as a leader, and also as just this powerhouse of woman that you can create anything that you dream of. And this book is a manifestation of your dreams. So whoever wants to buy the book, where they can find it?
Oh, well, you can basically buy it at anywhere books are sold. So, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all those online. Also your local bookstore. And you can find more updates about the book on Instagram at Mama's Love Language or on my website at elisastad.com. I'm so honored to be here, to be invited. And to have this conversation with you, Tam.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you guys, thank you so much for staying here with us. If you like this episode and if you think it's relevant, please share with your family and friends. We are on Instagram and TikTok as Life in Design Podcast. We also have our website, lifeindesignpodcast.com. And I will see you next time. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah.
Hey.
We did it.
Thank you.
Thank you.